All right. Wait for a few more people to get in here. We'll get right to the Kyle Whittingham press conference here. Pull that up, and obviously, shocking, surprising loss, but maybe not in terms of how it played out, given all the concerns over the passing game and everything that ultimately hurt Utah today. Their inability to move the ball down the field to attack, in the vertical passing game is ultimately what I think cost them. And the difference was exasperated when Will Hammond checked in as the backup quarterback and just continued to make plays in the passing game for Tech, and ultimately doubled up Utah in terms of total yards. And unfortunately, in the fourth quarter, all things broke loose and the defense just ran out of steam. So um, I'll stop talking for a bit, and I'm going to pull up the Kyle Whittingham press conference here. So let's get to that.
Yeah, as a really good football team play. Give them a lot of credit. They've really assembled themselves a really good roster, and like I said, they're talented, physical. Uh, so yeah, it was a good football team that we faced. We didn't do anything to help our own cause, particularly on offense. First quarter was a disaster. Two turnovers with the fumbles, another turnover on downs, 4th and 1. You got to convert that. Touchdown called back because of a penalty. So really didn't get into a rhythm on offense essentially the whole morning, afternoon. Nice 2-minute drill in the first half, got us a field goal. Then we had the one touchdown drive in the second half, but other than that, we didn't play, like I said, with much rhythm or much continuity. Uh, Ran the ball very poorly, way under 100 yards if you take away the garbage yards that happened, those last 3 or 4 plays. And so that was disappointing. I never would have believed if you would have said we would lose the line of scrimmage. Never would have believed that in a million years. But we did. We didn't win the line of scrimmage. Defense played lights out for 3.5 quarters, and then it went from 13 to 34 in the blink of an eye. And it can't happen. I mean, it just can't happen. You got to finish games, and you got to keep your poise and keep doing the things that you were doing the first 3.5 quarters. We can't let things get away from us like that in the fourth quarter. And kind of reminiscent of last year when we had chances to put people away in the fourth quarter and win a game with one stop. And just couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. So we got to continue to look hard at that. Um, Looking for positives. I thought our punter punted the ball very well. He did a good job. Um, Came up with a couple takeaways on defense. Noah Benny, exceptional interception in the end zone. And then we had the other one on the tip ball. Um, we didn't play the run exceptionally well either. And like I said, for us to lose the line of scrimmage that doesn't happen very often, but it certainly happened today. So we got to regroup now. We got a tough road trip to West Virginia. Playing well. Uh, Rich Rodriguez, great football coach, and they'll be ready for us. There's no doubt about that. East Coast trip, so we got to leave a day early next week, and so it'll be a little different schedule, but that's neither here nor there really. But like I said, the bottom line, we lost the turnover margin, 4-2, and again didn't convert on the fourth down and short. It seemed like we battled field position all game. We were in tough field position. We could never tilt the field back our way because we couldn't make enough first downs on offense. We couldn't move the chains enough to give our defense some breathing room. And so it seems like they had their back to the wall a good portion of the game. But they won the game. We got to review the film, fix our deficiencies, and get back at it come Monday. I mean, you can't sit around and feel sorry for yourself. You just got to get back at it and go to work and try to figure out how to beat the next team. So, questions?
Kyle, you mentioned that the offense just struggled to get into a rhythm all game. Do you feel like that was sort of a play calling thing, or were the turnovers just too hard to overcome?
Well, I think it was a combination of things. Certainly, the turnovers. You only get about 10 or 11 possessions a game on average. Some games are more, which is about three or four and a quarter max. 2 to 4 and a quarter. And if you turn it over twice and turn it over a third time on downs, that doesn't help your cause. have to take a look at the film and see why we didn't win the line of scrimmage. I don't know. You know, I just don't know. I don't have a great answer right now. We just didn't play up to our usual standards up front.
Kyle, on both of the scoring drives, you guys went up tempo a little bit. Was there ever any consideration to maybe go up tempo for the rest
Well,
of the game?
That's up to Jason. You know, it's his offense, and you're right in the respect that we did have success doing that those two drives, and you know, maybe in hindsight we should have, and that's a good thought.
When it comes to the slow starts, this has kind of happened a little bit in Wyoming, maybe a little bit in Cal Poly. Is there any particular reason why you think that this team is starting slow and not getting into that rhythm?
No, don't have a good answer on that either. But you know, you obviously judge the game in its entirety, but you're right. We have seemed to come out of the gates with not a lot of production.
How did things change when their backup quarterback Will Howard came in?
Not a lot. I mean, the new kid came in and did a good job, and the Q run game dose went higher, and he did a nice job running the football and took care of the ball. And so, you know, there wasn't a lot of drop off. You know, he was very productive.
Coach, is there a strong level of trust in Devin to execute what he needs to in the vertical passing game?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, Devin, I'm sure he's disappointed today, like everybody else, but he's a competitor, and he's a great athlete, and you know, he's a guy that'll come back. My guess is he'll be you know, ready and really good next week.
Where do you feel like this offense needs to improve most to get back on track?
Well, based on today, take care of the football. You cannot turn the ball over 4 times. If you turn the ball over 4 times, your chances of winning are 15%. You know, the only thing that would fix that is if your defense took it away 4 or 5 times, you know, in the same game. And so you just can't. I mean, that's excessive turnovers. That's what you'll turn it over nearly 50 times in the year if you do that. So that is the biggest problem today. If you want to say what is the biggest problem, turnovers. Second biggest problem, not controlling the line of scrimmage.
Coach, on that touchdown that got called back to Jackson Benny, was there, just from your perspective, was there a miscommunication maybe on the ineligible offensive lineman?
Yeah, lineman didn't hear the call, the entire call, and didn't realize that it was a RPO or you know, play action, and it was the correct call by the ref. I mean, he was 8 yards now till he was way down there. So yes, miscommunication. To answer your question.
Kyle, you have a lot of new players, a lot of new leaders on this team. This is the first time they faced adversity. Are you curious to see how they respond after something like
Yeah,
this?
absolutely. And my guess is they'll answer the bell, but we'll find out. And the locker room was good. There are a lot of upset people in that locker room, and it hurts, and it should. This is a hard-working team, and they prepared well. We had a really good week of practice, and you know, again, we just for whatever reason we're in a funk on offense today and could not get into a rhythm.
Coach, a big bright spot on defense was Nate Ritchie. Can you speak to his game tonight?
Yeah, he was all over the field and did a nice job. Still got to clean up some tackles. You know, there were some missed tackles that we got to continue to work with him on. But he is a fierce competitor and he's instinctive. He's always around the ball. And the nature of his position, that position in our defense is going to make a lot of tackles. Just it's inherent with the position. But he's a tough guy and a really good player.
Coach, you've mentioned in the past that you want to get more wide receivers involved. Ryan Davis was the only wide receiver that caught a pass, or true wide receiver, I guess. Just has that, I guess, limited the efficiency of the offense, not having a consistent threat there at that position?
For sure, and we gotta find a way to get a threat at that position. And you're right, we didn't get much involvement with the wideouts today. But you got to get open. I mean, you got to get open to get the ball, and so we got to do a better job of coaching them to help them to get open.
Coach, on that second drive of the game, when you got stopped on 4th down, Nakari looked like he may have gotten the first. Was it a decision to not challenge, or?
I was going to challenge it, and I went to the ref to say we want to challenge. He says replay had already confirmed, because they're looking at every play, and so if they've already confirmed it, because I was in the ref's ear right there, because I saw the same thing everyone else did on the board, and he said, Coach, don't waste your challenge. Replay has already confirmed the call, and you'll just get the same answer, that confirmed. So, but yeah, that was in my mind the challenge. But when I got that information, that obviously would have been a bad decision to do that.
All right, that'll wrap us up.
All right, so there you have it. There was Coach Whittingham in the post game press conference. Um, obviously, a lot to break down in terms of going back, watching this game, and I thought the big thing for Utah in this one was, like I said, to open was the downfield passing attack, and with Devin Dampier tonight, unfortunately, he was 0 for 6 on attempts of 15 plus yards down the field, and just couldn't connect on opportunities that were there, and I thought that was ultimately the difference. Utah had opportunities. The Jackson Benny big play, I thought that was a key moment. Yeah, it felt like Utah finally got a big play to break through, and unfortunately, the penalty negated it. And I thought that killed a real opportunity for Utah to gain the momentum and build something going into the second quarter. So I thought that was a killer. And then missing Tobias Merriweather here late in the game. Merriweather was breaking free on a corner route, it looked like, and Dampier just couldn't provide him with a catchable pass. And so I thought that was the big difference today was the passing attack. And like I said earlier, it was only exasperated when Will Hammond came in and continued to execute their offense and make plays, make throws down the field. So that was the big concern for a lot of the fan base was the downfield passing attack, and ultimately that is what I think hurt them today. Bennett, I'd be curious to hear from you, man. Just what are your thoughts on the game, and where you feel like what are your thoughts? What's your reaction to the game?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest question coming into this week that we kind of hashed out over and over again is we knew that Texas Tech was going to make things hard, commit the resources to stop the run, and we were going to find ourselves in spots where we got to make plays in the pass game. And unfortunately, that wasn't there tonight, today, this morning, or what's time anymore. And that was it. I think what you said with that Jackson Benny bomb, I think that would have probably changed the course of the game. That gives a different level of confidence. That throw to Merriweather, if you connect there, you build confidence. And we kind of moved away from trying to throw that ball deep and just trying to beat them on, the 6, 7 yard routes over and over again. And it just, man, they credit to Texas Tech. They had answers, and yeah, we weren't able to step up.
Yeah, I thought Texas Tech came in with the right game plan, right? Forced Utah to beat you through the air, and they ultimately bet right. And they I was really impressed with the number of plays going back and watching just the physicality that they played with at the line of scrimmage. Kyle Whittingham talked about it in his post game press conference that you know they never would have thought that they would be the ones losing the line of scrimmage battle today. But I think that was behind the downfield passing attack and the lack of production there. I thought Utah not coming into this game and completely controlling the line of scrimmage. The defensive line, I thought, did a tremendous job for most of the game, but the offensive line, surprisingly, did not come ready for Texas Tech and what they brought to the table. They played with tremendous physicality and limited Utah's rushing attack to under 100 yards outside of these garbage yardage that they added at the end of the game. I thought that was another surprising factor in this one that the offensive line just didn't live up to expectations.
Yeah, I know, and that's one that I hope when we're watching film, we're able to figure things out. We're able to use that as motivation because, like, these guys are better than that. And again, you don't want to take any credit away from Tech's defense, but it was a tough look today in a lot of areas, and that was a surprise. Was to see our O line not be able to get that push and have that protection that we're used to. And yeah, got to get better quick because West Virginia's coming quick.
Yeah, just another missed opportunity for Utah. I thought the setting was perfect. I thought, being here at kickoff, seeing the stadium packed, nearly every seat was filled. Uh, you felt like this could be a really special moment, a really special opportunity for Utah. And unfortunately, um, the production on the field didn't match what I thought the fan base brought today. The fan base was great. Willing Utah to a number of stops and stayed with this team through all four quarters. I think the fan base deserves a lot of credit for sticking this one out until things got crazy in that fourth quarter with Texas Tech scoring four different times. So it's unfortunate that Utah wasn't able to capitalize on this opportunity. A big weekend for Utah, and unfortunately, Utah's going home, with a big loss, a 34-10 loss, and Texas Tech coming in here, and I thought Texas Tech, they looked the part, with all of the money that they've invested. There was a lot of questions, a lot of criticism, a lot of um, wondering how valid that team was, and man, they came out and they proved themselves today, put themselves on a national stage and went out and did their thing, and they deserve a lot of credit for coming into Salt Lake City and putting it on Utah today. So the thing with that is this was still a 13-10 game in the fourth quarter. And then things, like I said, just broke loose. So, it's a matter of getting back to complementary football. And in order for the offense to complement one another, um, they've got to find more production in the passing game and the vertical passing game to give the running game more space and better spacing up front to execute their blocks the way they need to generate more movement. Utah just wasn't complementary in any sort of fashion today, unfortunately, and Texas Tech was able to take advantage pretty emphatically.
Play. They were like, "We're the best, we're awesome, no one can beat us." And Arizona.
Yeah, I totally agree and echo what you said. The fans absolutely showed out today. It was awesome from more or less start to finish. A lot of moments where air was sucked out of the stadium for like a quick second because the offense wasn't getting the job done, but the D would come out and everybody would just start jumping again and getting loud, making noise. We showed out in that respect. It's just a bummer we weren't able to get the win. We weren't able to capitalize on the opportunity. I think this could be good for us in the long run, hopefully, right? You think of Kyle Whittingham teams that are kind of feel like they're backed into a corner, feel like they've got a chip on their shoulder. Yet you hate playing with that chip on the shoulder. You'd like to just, when you're the top dog, play like the top dog. But today that wasn't the case, and if this has to be a chip on the shoulder for our next few games, and it gets us back on track, and I'd love to see Tech again in Arlington, but we've got a lot of work to do. They definitely look the part. I totally agree. They look, the investments they've made, they're paying off. They're gelling. They're looking good. They look like they're ready to make a run. So it'll be interesting to see how they do from here and how we're able to turn around ourselves.
Yeah, I think a big thing for me is seeing Tech and the way that they played today. They lived up to the hype. They lived up to a lot of the praise that they received. They played good football today. Unfortunately, Utah did not match it. And so there's, to your point, Bennett, I think this has to be an opportunity where you take your humble pie, you go home, you work on some things, you figure out some questions, and you come out and you're going to have more opportunities here in the next few weeks to string together some pretty significant wins, but you've got to regroup. Texas Tech invested a lot of money into this team, and they certainly proved that money was well worth it, was well spent today. So Utah, like I said, got to regroup. You got West Virginia next week, and then you've got Arizona State, BYU, Colorado, Cincinnati in October. Those are four crucial games to Utah and their title chances. This is this is a tough one, especially in the way that they lost. This is a brutal one in that sense. But in terms of the long game here in the season, still a lot to play for, as Kyle Whittingham would put it, and that. But they've let the cart drive by. But they definitely need to find some answers in the passing game and figure out how to make the vertical downfield passing game a threat, because Texas Tech provided the formula to stifle this Utah rushing attack, which looked unstoppable. But now the blueprint's out there, and Utah's got to figure out how to counter. So that's going to be the key for me moving forward, but still a lot to play for. It's just going to be a tough one for Utah fans to recover from this one. So going to take all weekend, I'm sure. and then probably into next week, but certainly still plenty on the table for Utah.
No, totally agree. Lick our wounds a little bit today, maybe a little bit tomorrow. And Monday's going to come quick, and we have to travel to the East Coast, and we got to make sure that we're not sliding. We can't lose to Texas Tech twice. We got to find the areas where, I mean, like you said, the blueprint. We were talking about that a little bit in that post game like instant reaction space we just did. Was the blueprint's there? People are going to look at Joey McGuire and Co's game plan that they put together. Will they be able to replicate it? Do they have the personnel like Tech does with the studs that they have along their front seven? Who knows? But at the very least, teams are going to be like, hey, this Utah team can't push the ball downfield. We don't have to respect that. And until we give teams a reason to respect that, we're not going to be able to play our game of football. And that's really the takeaway today. And that needs to be the emphasis going forward.
Yeah, completely agree. So I think that's a good point to end on. Do our live reaction. I know you'll be open up the Twitter space to keep that conversation going. But man, tough one for Utah fans today. You guys deserve a ton of credit for showing up, showing out in the manner that you did, and continuing to provide the juice throughout the game. So we'll have more from the Utah Blockcast. We'll have we'll get the gang all together Sunday night. We'll record, have that Monday episode up and ready to go, and all that. But appreciate everybody for tuning into this instant reaction. Man, a lot to learn, a lot to figure out for Utah moving forward. Like you said, Bennett, I think the big things we learned today was, Texas Tech. I think they're good. I think they're really good. Those investments they made paid off, and now there's a blueprint out there that Utah has to counter to. And so that's going to be the key moving forward. But yeah, like I said, appreciate all the support and all the fans tuning in to the Utah Blockcast. We'll be back at it soon, and hope everybody finds a way to recover this weekend and all that. But we'll be back at it soon.
Appreciate y'all.